Kia ora, and welcome to another Half Marathon Hub Weekly, your Monday roundup of what's happening across the New Zealand half marathon scene, along with practical training advice to help you become a better half marathon runner. This week, however, we're starting well beyond New Zealand. On Sunday, at one of the most extraordinary half marathon performances we've ever seen took place in Buenos Aires. Ethiopia's Yomif Kejelcha ran a 56:51 for the half marathon. Yes, 56 minutes and 51 seconds for 21.1 kilometres. Back home, we've got results from Forest Run Fest in Christchurch before turning our attention to three important areas of training: getting your long run right, understanding how your training should change from week to week, and a short but potent hill session. We'll also look ahead to a busy weekend featuring 4 half marathon distance events around New Zealand. Let's get into it. Now, we don't normally lead the Half Marathon Hub Weekly with an international result, but some performances demand attention. On Sunday, 23rd of August, Ethiopia's Yomif Kejelcha won the half marathon, or the Buenos Aires half marathon in Argentina, in an extraordinary 56:51, breaking the world half marathon record, subject to the usual ratification process. For anyone wondering how to pronounce his name, a useful approximation is Yomif Kejelcha. Sometimes elite finishing times become numbers that are difficult for recreational runners to comprehend. So let's put this one into perspective. Kejelcha averaged approximately 2:42 per kilometre. That's roughly 13:29 per 5K, or approximately 64.7 seconds per 400 metre lap. And he effectively kept doing that for more than 52 laps of a standard athletics track. Think about whatever pace you might run for a single 400 metre rep. Kejelcha was averaging roughly 65 seconds per lap for an entire half marathon. That's extraordinary. The previous ratified record was Jacob Kiplimo's 57:20 set in Lisbon earlier this year. Kejelcha took 29 seconds off it. Now, the World Athletics current record progression now lists Kejelcha's 56:51 ahead of Kiplimo's 57:20, with the asterisk denoting the pending ratification status. Perhaps even more impressive was the manner in which Kejelcha ran it. He made his decisive move around 7 kilometre and then effectively raced the final 2/3 on his own. Second place, Tadesse Uwuku eventually finished in 59:20, meaning Kejelcha crossed the line 2 minutes and 29 seconds clear. There is an interesting technical detail behind the record books too. Kiplimo ran an even faster 56:42 in Barcelona in 2025. But that performance was subsequently found not to satisfy the conditions required for world record ratification. That left his ratified 57:20 from Lisbon as the mark Kejelcha needed to beat. Whatever level you run at, performances like this remind us just how far the boundaries of endurance running continue to move. 56 minutes and 51 seconds at approximately 2:42 per kilometre. That's worth appreciating for a moment. Back in New Zealand, Forest Run Fest took place in Christchurch on Sunday, 23rd of August. In the men's category, Hayden Zervos won in a time of 1 hour 17:09, Tom Galloway second in 1:18:39, and Glenn Sharks third in 1:25:37. Hayden Zervos and Tom Galloway produced a close battle at the front with only 90 seconds separating first and second. In the women, Hannah Oldroyd won in 1 hour 27:39. Maddie Conway was second in 1 hour 41:18, and Lauren Cross in third place, rounding out the podium with a time of 1 hour 46:37. Congratulations to Hannah on the women's victory and to everyone who headed into Bottle Lake Forest and completed the event. There's one workout that sits at the heart of half marathon preparation. It's the long run. But simply running further doesn't automatically make it a good long run. One of the biggest mistakes I see runners make is treating the weekly long run as a test of their fitness. They start conservatively, feel good, gradually increase the pace, and eventually turn the final portion into something resembling a race. They finish exhausted and think, that was a great workout. Maybe. But that's not necessarily what we're trying to achieve. For most of you, half marathon preparation, your long run is primarily about building aerobic endurance and durability. That means spending a lot of the session at level 2, endurance, conversational intensity. You should be able to talk. You should feel controlled. And you should spend the entire session watching your average pace and and you shouldn't spend the entire session watching your average pace and trying to make it look impressive. The purpose is to develop your ability to keep running efficiently as duration increases. That means the final 20 or 30 minutes matter, not because we necessarily want them to be fast, but because we want you to maintain your movement quality and control as fatigue develops. Your long run isn't there to prove that you could race a half marathon today. That's what race day is for. If every long run becomes a race simulation, you substantially increase its recovery cost. And that can compromise the training that follows and over time undermine your consistency. The long run should build you rather than repeatedly empty you. As race day approaches, we can deliberately introduce more specific elements where appropriate, but those changes should happen because they fit the training plan, not because you happened to feel good after 70 minutes and decided to hammer the final hour. Read the full article on how to run your half marathon long run with the link down in the description. There's another important distinction between training and simply exercising. Good half marathon training has direction. We aren't just collecting workouts, and that doesn't only apply across 12, 16 or 20 week program, it applies from one week to the next. This is where weekly periodisation becomes useful. If every week contains the same mileage, the same workouts, and the same training stress, eventually your body becomes very familiar with what you're asking it to do. At the other extreme, simply adding more training every week indefinitely isn't sustainable either. Instead, we manipulate training across the weeks. Some weeks provide a greater stimulus. Others give your body more opportunity to absorb the work you've already completed. That hard, easy rhythm is important. Fitness isn't created solely by training stress. It's created when your body adapts to that stress. And adaptation requires recovery. This is why I don't want runners judging their program solely by today's session. A workout can only really be understood in the context of what came before it and what comes after it. A hard Tuesday session affects what we should be doing on Wednesday. A substantial training week influences what might be appropriate the following week. And the demands of the current phase influence the type of training we're prioritizing. Your program should therefore have rhythm and progression rather than simply being a collection of individually impressive workouts. Read more on weekly periodization for half marathon training with the link also in the description. This week's featured workout is short, simple, and effective. 3 by 3 minute hill repetitions at level 5. The session is a 10-minute warm-up level 2, 3 by 3 minutes uphill level 5, with 3 minutes level 2 recovery between repetitions, jogging back down. And then finishing with 10 minutes cool down at level 2 and 10 minutes of stretching. Only 9 minutes of the workout is spent completing the hard hill repetitions. Don't mistake that for an easy session. Hill repetitions give us an opportunity to combine high aerobic intensity with the strength demands of running uphill. At level 5, VO2 max intensity, these repetitions should be hard. But hard doesn't mean losing control. I still want good running posture. Keep your hips tall. Use your arms. Maintain a purposeful cadence. And don't turn the first repetition into a sprint. You have 3 repetitions to complete. The aim is to produce 3 quality efforts, not one spectacular effort followed by 2 progressively slower ones. This is particularly important on hills. Your normal flat running pace isn't relevant. Gradient changes pace dramatically. Instead, focus on maintaining the appropriate level 5 effort and good running mechanics. The hill provides the resistance. Your job is to provide the appropriate effort. See the complete workout with the link in the description. If you're targeting the Keri Keri Half Marathon, it's time to get organised. Our dedicated 12-week Keri Keri Half Marathon training programs begin next Monday, 31st of August. The 2026 Keri Keri Half Marathon is on Saturday, 21st of November, with a 21.1 kilometre event running from Okahai to Keri Keri. All 5 Hub Plus levels are available: Keri Keri Starter, 12 weeks, Keri Keri Builder, 12 weeks, Keri Keri Improver, 12 weeks, Keri Keri Performance, 12 weeks, and the Keri Keri Elite, 12 weeks. Keri Keri's predominantly downhill nature also makes preparation interesting. Downhill running may be fast, but it still places substantial eccentric loading through your legs. So don't make the mistake of assuming a downhill course means you don't need to prepare specifically for it. You want legs capable of taking advantage of the course without being destroyed by it. If Keri Keri is your goal, your structured build starts next Monday. We've also got a very different 21 kilometre goal beginning its training journey. Our 24-week program for the Tarawera Ultra Trail 21K starts Monday, 31st of August. Tarawera Ultra Trail by UTMB is scheduled for 13th and 14th of February 2027, with the T21 starting on the Saturday. 24 weeks gives us something extremely valuable: time. We don't need to rush. We can build the foundation, develop your trail running durability, and progressively prepare you for the specific demands of the event. That is particularly important when your 21 kilometres involves trails rather than a conventional road half marathon. Again, the goal isn't simply to become fitter, it's to become fitter for the event you're actually doing. Join the New Zealand Half Marathon Hub Plus with the link down below to get access to those training plans. We've got a much busier New Zealand calendar ahead, with 4 events offering approximately half marathon distances across Saturday 29th and Sunday 30th of August. Check of the National Half Marathon calendar also shows these as the 4 half marathon events for the weekend. The Kaitaia Trail Run Walk, Saturday 29th of August. The Kaitaia Trail Run Walk heads into Te Hiku Forest with 21.1 kilometres, 11.5 kilometres and 4 kilometre options. The half marathon takes runners through the distinctive pine forest environment, making this a very different proposition from a conventional road half. For runners tackling the 21.1 kilometre, let the terrain dictate your pace. Effort first, pace second. Mount Maunganui Half Marathon, Saturday 29th of August. We're also on Saturdays the Mount Maunganui Half Marathon with 21.1 kilometre, 10 kilometre and 5 kilometre distances. The half marathon is predominantly flat with only minor undulations, making this a very different racing proposition from the weekend's trail events. If you're racing at the Mount, don't let fast course tempt you into abandoning your pacing plan in the opening kilometres. A fast course still needs a smart race. On Sunday, the Auckland Trail Run and Walk Series reaches Waitawa Regional Park for event number 6 of the winter series. The super long option is approximately half marathon distance, listed around 21 kilometres plus. And Waitawa combines undulation, native bush, and views across the Firth of Thames. Once again, don't compare your trail kilometre splits with what you might expect on the road. Run the terrain in front of you. Finally, the Lake Dunstan Trail Marathon takes place on Sunday, with its program including a half marathon alongside the full marathon and shorter distance. The event runs on the Clyde to Cromwell area of Otago. Whether you're racing the half marathon or using the weekend as another step towards a later goal, remember, the work is done. You aren't going to create meaningful new fitness in the final few days before race day, but you can certainly create fatigue. Arrive fresh and give yourself the opportunity to use the fitness you've already built. Good luck to everyone racing around New Zealand this weekend. There's an interesting connection between a runner completing their first half marathon and Yomif Kejelcha running a 56:51. The speeds may be worlds apart, but endurance performance still rewards many of the same principles: consistency, appropriate intensity, progressive running, specific preparation, and the discipline to execute the plan rather than constantly trying to prove your fitness. Your long run doesn't need to become a race. Your training doesn't need to get harder every single week, and your hill repetitions don't need to start with an all-out sprint. The spectacular performances we see on race day are built from a lot of much less spectacular training completed consistently beforehand. That's true whether you're trying to run a 56:51, 1:30, sub 2 hours, or simply complete your first 21.1 kilometres. Want the latest New Zealand half marathon results, upcoming races, practical training advice, workouts, and coaching insights delivered to you each Monday? Join the free Half Marathon Weekly Hub, and the next edition will come directly to your inbox. The link to join the free Half Marathon Hub Weekly is in the description below. Next week, we'll have plenty to catch up on, with results to look for from Kaitaia Trail Run Walk, Mount Maunganui Half Marathon, Auckland Trail Run and Walk Waitawa, and the Lake Dunstan Trail Marathon and Half Marathon. We'll also bring another featured workout and more practical half marathon training advice. And Monday will mark day one for runners beginning the 12-week Kere Half Marathon program and the 24-week Tarawera Ultra Trail 21K program. For more half marathon training, race information, workouts, and coaching advice, visit www.halfmarathontraining.co.nz. Until next week, train smart, stay consistent, and enjoy your running.